In Unit 12, we are going to describe recent past events using past simple and past continuous and present perfect continuous. Remember, you can find these tenses as past progressive and present perfect progressive is exactly the same. Let's start. Read and listen to these descriptions. Match them to the pictures. In 1905, a small kid, Frank Epperson, wanted to make a new soda. He mixed the ingredients with a wood stick and forgot the soda in the patio all night. Due to the cold, the next morning he found the soda frozen with the stick inside. In 1970, Spencer Silver tried to invent a new glue, but nobody wanted to use it because it was very weak. It was not strong. 4 years later, his friend Arthur Fry put the glue on bookmarks and resulted very effective for this invention. In 1948, the Swiss electrical engineer George de Mestral went for a walk and noticed the small seeds stuck to his clothes. He examined the seeds under the microscope and saw hundreds of small hooks that stuck to the clothes. Then he reproduced this idea to make this invention. And so the kid invented the popsicles. The weak glue was used to make post-its. And George de Mestral invented Velcro. What invention do you think these three statements refer to? People had to wear buttons and zippers in their clothes for many years before this invention. When I was doing my final project last semester, I used a lot of small papers stuck to the important pages of the hooks that had important information. My little cousins were playing in the garden when my mom entered the house and invited them something very sweet and refreshing. The first one refers to Velcro. The second statement refers to post-it notes. And the third one refers to popsicles. Now let's analyze this statement. My little cousins were playing in the garden when my mom entered the house. This statement is using what we call past continuous or past progressive tense. If you check, we need the auxiliary to be in simple past and the main verb in gerund. Listen and read exercise 2 in your book.
Unit 12. It's a long story. Page 78. Exercise 2. Perspectives. What next? Part A. Listen to what happened to these people. Check the things that have happened to you.
I was having lunch when I spilled a cup of coffee on my clothes.
I was driving to the airport to pick up a friend, but I got a flat tire.
I was studying for an important test when the lights went out.
While I was walking down the street, I found a wallet with lots of money.
I was traveling in another country when I met an old school friend.
I was getting off a bus when I slipped and fell on the sidewalk.
While I was shopping one day, a celebrity walked into the store.
Now let's go to part B. Choose the statements that you checked. And in your notebook, describe what happened next. For example, I was having lunch when I spilled a cup of coffee on my clothes. I tried to clean it, but I couldn't, so I had to wear a jacket for the rest of the day. Make a pause here and work in your notebook, please. To describe these events, We could use a combination of past continuous and simple past. Let's go to your grammar focus number 3. Listen and analyze these structures.
Page 79, Exercise 3, Grammar Focus, Past Continuous versus Simple Past. Use the past continuous for an action in progress in the past. Use the simple past for an action that interrupts it.
I was having lunch when I spilled coffee on my clothes.
I was driving to the airport, but I got a flat tire.
While I was shopping one day, a celebrity walked into the store.
So we use the past continuous or past progressive tense to describe actions happening in the past. The structure of this tense is the subject, the auxiliary was for singulars, were for plurals, the verb with termination ing, and the complement. If it is a negative, then we have to use wasn't or weren't, the verb in gerund, and the complement. If it is a question, we have to start with the verb to be, was or were, then the subject, the verb with ing, and the complement. Remember, if you have a WH question, you start the question with the WH. What, when, where, why, whose, etc. Look at these examples. Yesterday, around midnight, I was doing my homework. I wasn't watching TV. My brothers were eating dinner. They were not playing video games. What was your sister doing? She was taking a shower. Were your parents sleeping? No, they weren't. Usually, we use the connectors when and while to express that a second action interrupts the progressive action in the past, or to express two progressive actions happening at the same time. For example, Mike was watching TV when you called me. While I was studying, I heard a strange noise outside. We were studying while Mike was watching TV. These are two progressive actions happening at the same time. Now let's go back to working your book. Complete the sentences in exercise A. Pause this video and work in your book, please. One, my sister was texting while she was driving, and she almost crashed her car. 2, while I was cooking dinner last night, a friend called and I burned the food. 3, my father was skiing when he broke his leg in several places. 4, we had our first child while we were living in a tiny apartment. 5, while I was driving in England a few years ago, I realized I was on the wrong side of the road. 6, once I was reading a good book, but someone told me the ending. 7, my parents met each other while they were working at the same restaurant in Vancouver. Now let's work with exercise number 4. Listen to the story of Mark Zuckerberg.
Page 80, Exercise 4, Listening. How did it all begin? Part A. Listen to this story about a successful inventor. Put the sentences into the correct order from 1 to 8.
Around 15 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg was a normal high school student. He was living in a quiet town in New York. Today, he is the founder and CEO of Facebook, the world's most popular social networking site. So how did it all begin? When Zuckerberg was only 10 years old, he was already writing computer programs. His father taught him how to program computers, and he loved it. A couple of years later, he wrote his very own messenger program. His program, ZuckNet, connected the computers in his home to the computers in his father's office. While he was studying in high school, he developed a computer program that looked at people's favorite music and recommended new music. Microsoft wanted to buy the program, but Zuckerberg did not accept the offer. In 2002, he entered Harvard University. One night, while he was playing on his computer, he invented a program called FaceMash. FaceMash compared pictures of Harvard students. The program was a success, but the university shut down the site a couple of days later. Many people at Harvard now knew who Zuckerberg was. 3 classmates asked for his help to develop a social networking site for Harvard students. While he was working on that site, he got the idea for Facebook. At first, Facebook was only for Harvard students, but soon people from other universities were using it. Zuckerberg wanted more people to use Facebook, but he needed more money. His friends were also interested in Facebook. Coincidentally, they had the money he needed to create the site. They invested in the site, and Facebook expanded so that anyone who was 13 or older could use it. Today, Mark Zuckerberg lives in California, where he is the chief executive of Facebook. Over 1 billion people use Facebook today, and Zuckerberg is worth over $24 billion.
Page 80, Exercise 4, Part B. Listen again. How did the invention change his life?
Around 15 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg was a normal high school student. He was living in a quiet town in New York. Today, he is the founder and CEO of Facebook, the world's most popular social networking site. So how did it all begin? When Zuckerberg was only 10 years old, he was already writing computer programs. His father taught him how to program computers, and he loved it. A couple of years later, he wrote his very own messenger program. His program, ZuckNet, connected the computers in his home to the computers in his father's office. While he was studying in high school, he developed a computer program that looked at people's favorite music and recommended new music. Microsoft wanted to buy the program, but Zuckerberg did not accept the offer. In 2002, he entered Harvard University. One night, while he was playing on his computer, he invented a program called FaceMash. FaceMash compared pictures of Harvard students. The program was a success, but the university shut down the site a couple of days later. Many people at Harvard now knew who Zuckerberg was. 3 classmates asked for his help to develop a social networking site for Harvard students. While he was working on that site, he got the idea for Facebook. At first, Facebook was only for Harvard students, but soon people from other universities were using it. Zuckerberg wanted more people to use Facebook, but he needed more money. His friends were also interested in Facebook. Coincidentally, they had the money he needed to create the site. They invested in the site, and Facebook expanded so that anyone who was 13 or older could use it. Today, Mark Zuckerberg lives in California, where he is the chief executive of Facebook. Over 1 billion people use Facebook today, and Zuckerberg is worth over $24 billion.
Now, use a dictionary to investigate the meaning of these words in the box. Coincidentally, fortunately, luckily, miraculously, sadly, strangely, suddenly, surprisingly, unexpectedly, and unfortunately. Remember to practice the pronunciation of these words. Now, copy these statements into your notebook and use these adverbs from the last exercise to complete the statements. Coincidentally, luckily, sadly, suddenly, strangely, or unfortunately. Pause this video and work in your notebook, please. Here are the answers. 1. I was walking on the street when luckily I found a 100 bill. 2. Mike needed to talk to Professor Smith, and coincidentally, he saw it at the school's cafeteria. 3. Last night, something scary happened. I was home alone cooking dinner when strangely the lights of my bedroom turned on. 4. Last week I was working on my final project, and unfortunately my laptop broke down. 5. We were cooking dinner last night when suddenly my mom laughed out loud. We didn't know what made her laugh. And 6. Mike was deeply in love with her girlfriend, but sadly she had to move to Canada. Now, let's go with the second objective of this unit. We will express recent events using the present perfect continuous. If you remember, the present perfect is when we say what we have done. For example, I have eaten, I have gone to the United States, I have studied a lot this month, etc. Please open your book again to work on exercise 7. Listen and practice this conversation.
Page 81. Exercise 7. Conversation. What have they been doing? Part A. Listen and practice.
Hey, Louisa. I haven't seen you in ages. What have you been doing lately?
I haven't been going out much. I've been working 2 jobs for the last 6 months.
How come?
I'm saving up money for a trip to Morocco.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. What about you?
Well, I've only been spending money. I've been trying to become an actor. I've been taking courses and going to a lot of auditions.
Really? How long have you been trying?
Since I graduated. But I haven't had any luck yet. No one recognizes my talent.
Page 81. Exercise 7. Part B. Listen to 2 other people at the party. What has happened since they last saw each other?
Hey, Bob. How's it going?
Pretty good, thanks.
I haven't seen you for a while. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been looking for a house to buy. I finally found one last month.
That's terrific.
Yeah, I'm really tired of renting. So what have you been doing lately?
Well, I went to Italy last month.
Really? What were you doing there?
I was taking a short Italian course. But guess what? I fell in love.
You did? Who's the lucky guy?
Actually, I fell in love with the food there. So I've been taking some classes in Italian cooking. That pizza you're eating? I made it.
So Bob has been looking for a house to buy because he's tired of renting. And actually, he found one months ago. The woman moved to Italy to learn Italian, and now she has been learning to cook Italian food. In part A of this conversation, you have these examples. What have you been doing lately? I've been working 2 jobs. How long have you been trying? Since we graduated. This is what we know as present continuous or present progressive tense. The auxiliary have been or has been for singulars, and the verb in progressive form, doing, working, trying.
Page 81. Exercise 8. Grammar focus. Present perfect continuous. Use the present perfect continuous for actions that start in the past and continue into the present.
What have you been doing lately?
I've been working 2 jobs for the last 6 months.
How long have you been trying?
I've been trying since I graduated.
Have you been saving money?
No, I haven't been saving money. I've been spending it.
Remember, for third persons of the singular, he, she, or it, we use the auxiliaries has for affirmatives and has not for negatives. Examples: Mike has been cooking all the afternoon. What has he been cooking? Has he been making pizza? No, he hasn't been making pizza. He's been cooking paella. Pay attention in the use of the contractions. Now, let's work with exercise A in your book. Complete these mini conversations using the present perfect continuous form of the verb in parentheses. One, have you been learning any new skills this year? Yes, I have. I have been taking some art courses. 2, what have you been doing lately? Well, I've been looking for a new job. 3, how have you been feeling recently? Great, I have been running 3 times a week, and I haven't been drinking as much coffee since I stopped working at the coffee shop. 4, have you been getting enough exercise lately? No, I haven't. I've been studying a lot for a big exam. Now let's work in your notebook. Copy these 4 mini conversations and use, again, the present perfect continuous form of the verb in parentheses. Pause this video and work in your notebook, please. Five, what has Jack been doing since we graduated? He has been working in an electronics factory. 6, has Sandy been living with her parents all this time? No, she hasn't. She has been renting an apartment. 7, it's incredible. Your dog has been sleeping all the morning. Yes, but he has been barking all night during this past week. 8, has Tom been playing with the university soccer team this semester? Yes, he has been making the team goalkeeper. To end this unit, work with the reading number 12. Pause this video and work with exercises B and C. Here are the answers. Exercise B. Number 1. After going deaf, Beethoven continued to compose music. 2. The boys knew music was powerful because of something they saw. 3. Many people didn't understand the boy's ambition to play music. 4. Hiltermann's parents didn't want him to learn to play at first. 5. The 3 young men started playing together before finishing college. Exercise C. Number 1. The Beatles inspired the 3 boys to play music. 2. Longo and Chevy used powerful hearing aids to hear some parts of the music. 3. Hiltermann used knives and forks hitting against furniture to make noise in his house. 4. The 3 men met in college. 5. The band became officially playing in 2001 after they finished college. Remember to answer the grammar of Unit 12 on page 143 in your student's book and the workbook of Unit 12. Good luck, everybody!